The first reading, the prophet Jeremiah, the Lord formed him in the womb, knew him before he was in the womb, and dedicated him before he was born, a prophet to the nations, and gave him strength, a pillar of iron, a wall of brass against the whole land, against Judah's kings and princes. If you read the book of Jeremiah, you see Jeremiah was pretty much all alone, and the princes, they throw him in a pit because he prophesied doom to Judah. The Israelites were already exiled up to Assyria, so all was left in the Holy Land was the Judahites, and they were getting corrupted. Their kings and the people were getting corrupted, and Jeremiah was there to prophesy, you're going to be exiled too if you don't obey the commands of the Lord. But they didn't listen, and they were exiled too by the Babylonians and sent to, and all escorted over to Babylonia as God had prophesied. But they wouldn't listen to Jeremiah. He preached against them and warned them, and they ended up in the end killing him. I think they stoned him to death in the end. But God sustained him, and we should look to God too for strength to be this pillar of iron and wall of brass when we need to be strong, in upholding our Christian values. We may see we're weak or cowardly in some ways, but we need to turn to God for the strength that he gave to Jeremiah, St. John the Baptist, many of the saints. Strength comes from God, not from our own willpower, from our own character. Real strength comes from God. The second reading, we're reminded of the power of love. If we don't have love, we have nothing. If we don't have love, if we have all the talents in the world, the gifts of prophecy and knowledge, we're intelligent, we have physical strength or whatever abilities we might have, but if we don't have love, we have nothing. We have nothing. Love is who God is, what God is. God is love himself. Love is perfection. Love is perfection. We want to be a perfect person. Strength to do everything and anything, to bear all things, endure all things. Love never fails. So we do need to value love, pray for it, appreciate it, aspire to it, work for this great virtue of love for neighbor, love for God, love for everything God created, love for everything that God loves, and to grow in love, appreciate that. That's where we're created for love. We're created to love, created to have love in our heart, in our mind, to live by it. That's what we're created for. This is perfection, is love. We want to be perfect in whatever way a human being can. Love is the aim. If we are full of love, we will be as perfect as we can be in this life. And in the gospel where Jesus is in Nazareth, his hometown, and they have heard all the miracles and all the amazing things he did in Capernaum and in the other places, all the miracles he performed, his fame that was growing and growing, crowds of people coming to see him and to be healed by him and to listen to his words. And they too were amazed at the gracious words that came from his mouth. But then they said, "Isn't this the son of Joseph? Don't we know him? Didn't we see him growing up? Wasn't he one of us? He's no better than us. He grew up with us. We never saw anything amazing out of him. For 30 years he lived among us, didn't do anything great. He's just like us. So if he can do these gracious things, these great things, he's not much better than we are." And then Jesus says a prophet is never accepted in his native place. Look what happened in the time of Elijah. and Elisha, the prophets. Nobody was healed because they didn't have faith in those days. Only the pagans were healed. And they took such great insult on this, they wanted to kill him through his own countrymen, through their own townsperson who was so famous. They wanted to throw him over the hill and smash him in the rocks. They were ready to do that. They escorted him, drive him out of the town, lead him to the brow of the hill, to hurl him down headlong. But Jesus uses his divine power and just walks right through him. He didn't use vengeance to strike them down or to blind them like God did in the Old Testament when a similar thing happened. He didn't strike them. He just walks through their midst and goes away because he wasn't here to take vengeance, but to save us. So he was way patient with his own town people and everyone else, that they would find faith. His town people would find faith in him, that he is a prophet, at least a prophet, but also a Messiah, the one who was prophesied. And then even much more than that, the Son of God, God himself. They weren't ready to accept all of that, but at least they should have accepted him as a prophet, and they should have known that he fulfilled all the prophecies of the Messiah. But they should have seen even his divine power and all his miracles. But they said, no, isn't this the one we know? They took him for granted. They took Jesus for granted, and they didn't have faith. They didn't put faith in him and what he taught them to change their lives, to listen to his words, to help them to be really good, really holy, really perfect, great followers of Jesus, great Christians. And so that makes us turn to ourselves. Do we take our faith for granted? Do we take our Catholicism for granted? Do we take everything for granted and just think that there's not great things in our Catholic faith and the sacraments that we have and in what God does? You know, G.K. Chesterton used to write about how everything was, the world is an amazing place. If you look at the movies of Fantasia and all the beautiful computer generated images and movies that are coming out, and genies that take their wand and wave it and create things out of nothing like God does. That's closer to reality than not having any faith, not thinking that there's any God, thinking that there are laws in this world that can't be changed. Gravity can't be altered. The natural things can't be changed by God in miraculous ways. They can be by God. God can do amazing, amazing things, and I think probably in the future years, God will perform many, many great and amazing things. Remember in Fatima, God made the sun dance, and before hundreds of thousands of people. He will do many more amazing things coming in the future. But he continues to do amazing things in our natural world, in our own mind, in our own spiritual life, in our own days. The things around us, the physical world, all these things, God sustains them and keeps them going. And this keeps them going like a magic wand. That's more close to reality than not having faith and not seeing God. This is the way this is the spiritual world where angels are everywhere, where the Holy Mass is like heaven on earth, where God is exercising his power and giving his graces to all of us, strengthening all of us, where he is really present, where the angels are really present, where Our Lady is really present. The invisible world is closer to what you would see in some fantastic movie. We have faith. We need to see these things because God can do anything. He can do whatever you see on TV or in the computer graphics. He can do all of that. He can walk across water. calm the seas. He can do anything, and we need to believe that. We need to believe that in our lives. Have that kind of faith. So we need to look beyond our Catholicism that we've grown up in, that we've maybe taken so many things for granted. Look at the sacrament of confession that can really, really change us. Look at what happened to the apostles at Pentecost, how they went from cowards to ready to conquer the world. Cowards to conquer the world, to go and preach the gospel and endure all kinds of sufferings and pain and suffering, and to travel to the end of the world to preach Jesus and his teachings. He went from cowards to doing that like overnight. And that, this is what God can do to each one of us if we have this faith and we come to the sacraments with that faith and we keep praying with that strong faith that God can do anything to us and with us, with our cooperation, with our faith. He can do anything. So let's not take anything for granted from God. He can do anything. And we need to have that faith. And God will reward it in this life and the next.
Fructum ventris tuum.